So the title speaks for itself. The results speak for itself. That the only way that Antonio Conte was going to stay with Tottenham is if Spurs are title contenders, and clearly they're not. Clearly, Levy's not going to spend money. Clearly, nothing's going to change. Tottenham won. It was 2-2, actually. I remember it's 2-2. In fact, the late equalizer prevented Chelsea from winning the game. They only got a penalty. Arsenal won 3-1. Against Man U, they allowed 28 shots. 28 shots against a rebuilding Man United. I mean, rebuilding. 28 shots. This team not title contenders. Just wait till they have to face Liverpool and Man City. Conte is gone. Son has been out of form. Harry Kane has been inconsistent. Approaching 30 years old with many ankle injuries. Cristiano Ronaldo, world class, I believe. Where the shortcomings are occurring is over at the midfield with Rodrigo Bentancur. Højbjerg may be very solid, but he's just not world class. Emerson Royal, are you kidding me? Where's the good fullbacks on this team? Antonio Conte has to go back to his one only beloved Juventus. The Juventus dynasty began with Antonio Conte. It ended with Antonio Conte when Antonio Conte moved to Inter and won the Scudetto. Antonio Conte must come back. They're still going to be a very defensive on the counter, but there's going to be more attacking ideas when you have Antonio Conte instead of Massimiliano Allegri. He's too defensive, and at the end of the day, Antonio Conte is going to balance it out. You want to score more goals with Antonio Conte, and when Antonio Conte was running the club, well, yeah, Marquisio and Pirlo were there. Vidal was there. Vucinic, other guys. The squads weren't as good as they were throughout the latter part of the 2010s. But give Antonio Conte Federico Chiesa. Federico Chiesa is not going to be sitting deep, defending. Nope. With Antonio Conte, Federico Chiesa is up. Federico Chiesa is going to attack, and find the space and go all in on the net. Paul Pogba, his long balls on the counter, you put Pogba there in that position with Chiesa and Vlahovic. Clearly, you need him to prevent Vlahovic from leaving. Vlahovic is frustrated that he's not scoring more goals. Guess what? Antonio Conte is the guy that can allow him to score more goals. Antonio Conte is the guy. Chiesa was magnificent with Andrea Pirlo. He was magnificent. It's just not a coincidence that Ronaldo started scoring more goals once Massimiliano Allegri left, because how many in 43 matches? He had 28 goals his first year. And the fact is, Federico Chiesa is world class. You don't want to ask him to be sitting way deep, way too back in defense and not being put in a position to attack and score goals, especially when the opposition gives up possession so quickly in midfield. It hasn't happened that often, yes, in recent years, but hopefully, and it shall happen some more once Paul Pogba is in a position to make a difference. And Antonio Conte is the guy that Manuel Locatelli doesn't believe in Allegri. Locatelli, I think, is being destroyed by Massimiliano Allegri. And Locatelli can do a lot more. He's being destroyed by the manager as we speak. He has no confidence. Instead of selling him, Antonio Conte is the guy that can do the job well. And Fabio Miotti, of course, very young and very solid. Antonio Conte is going to do more for his development than Massimiliano Allegri. The only way Conte stays with Spurs is if they're title contenders, or if they go out and get a sugar daddy and buy a bunch of players like Man City. Well, that's just not how Tottenham do business. And now Juventus at the end of the year must fork the money and bring in Antonio Conte if Conte leaves. There should be external discussions with Antonio Conte right this moment, because right now, after yesterday, it should be clear that they are not title contenders in the foreseeable future in the English Premier League. And Antonio Conte is the guy that can bring his beloved Juventus back to being European contenders, going back to competing for the Scudetto year in and year out. Bring in Don Antonio right now, pronto.